A small town is stunned by a horrific murder.
It sent a shockwave through our community.
It's beyond anything that I could think could humanly possibly happen to a person.
The victim, a well-loved millionaire.
Ann Branson was bigger than life. She was more like a brunette Dolly Parton.
For investigators, finding her killer is priority one.
Nobody deserves this, much less an 85-year-old sweet lady who would do anything for anybody.
When the killer is finally revealed, everyone is in disbelief.
He would not have been on the radar screen.
I can't think of any other way to describe him other than a cold-hearted, cold-blooded murderer.
Monday, January 13th, 2003. Dr. Bob Veneman arrives at the home of his 85-year-old fiancée, wealthy businesswoman Ann Branson.
I knocked on the door. All the lights were on in the whole house. She did not answer.
And?
The house was locked. I knocked and knocked. I was very, very worried.
Deeply concerned, Dr. Bob calls Ann's brother, Earl,
This is not like her.
and the police.
The call originally came out as a check on subject's welfare, that she wasn't answering the door.
And I'm concerned.
When Ann's brother, Earl, arrives, he can't find the spare house key. It's not in its usual hiding place.
It's always in the left shrub.
Time's wasting. I said, let's break down the door and let's get something done now.
A police officer finds the key in a different area, oddly out of place.
Oh, there it is.
And?
Inside, everything seems normal.
Everything was neat. Everything was in its proper place. Nothing had been knocked over.
But in the basement, everyone's worst fears are confirmed.
I got halfway down the step of the basement. They said, don't come any further. We don't want you down here. And I just barely saw her lying face down.
I have never seen anything like this.
Ann Branson has been brutally attacked, bludgeoned, and stabbed to death in her own home. Lead detective Scott Troutman examines her mutilated body, searching for clues.
The first thing I remember noticing was the amount of damage she had sustained to her back.
It's serious overkill. Ann has 97 stab wounds, 63 on her back alone.
The second thing that I remember noticing was the distortion of her skull. It was in so many small pieces that we could not ascertain how many times she was struck in the head.
Detectives searched the house, looking for a weapon that could cause such terrible damage.
It was so unique. You know, it wasn't just a knife and it wasn't just a hammer type weapon. It was something in between, or something that was a combination of both.
Investigators notice heavy blood spatter on the freezer next to the body.
As the weapon was being pulled out of her and put back in her again, it was slinging blood off of it.
The blood spatter tells detectives that the killer swung the weapon in two violent ways.
It was showing some stabbing, chopping swings, but then it also showed some golf swings.
They know one thing for sure. Whoever did this kept stabbing long after Ann Branson was dead.
It did not take this type of damage to murder this woman, but they kept on going after she was murdered. After she was dead, they kept on going.
That she died in such an awful way is almost impossible to believe.
To find her the way that we did, you know, and to learn that she had been murdered was something that sent a shockwave through our community.
Ann Branson was a lifelong resident of the quiet coal mining community of Madisonville, Kentucky.
She was known by everyone. If she walked on the street, 99% of the people would know who she was.
Her full name was Anna Mae, and that's what we called her. Anna Mae, the family did, and her friends called her Ann.
She was one of the wealthiest people in town and one of the most colorful.
Ann Branson was flamboyant and just bigger than life. At 85, she wore false eyelashes. She wore bright clothing. She wore a lot of dark wigs. She was more like a brunette Dolly Parton. She was wealthy, but she was country.
Ann Branson and her late husband began making their fortune with a single hamburger stand in the early 1950s.
And that was the only fast food place at that time that this town had. And it turned into a very popular attraction.
They put profits from the restaurant into real estate, and even after her husband died in 1994, Ann continued to buy up property.
Anna Mae was very business savvy. She had a lot of common sense, and over the period of years, she built up 41 rental properties, which she managed. And she took care of all that herself, even into old age.
Investigators learned Ann was very concerned with her own safety. In fact, she was so security conscious, she'd earned quite a reputation with the Madisonville police.
She was notorious for setting off her alarm system in her home. Miss Branson set that alarm off at least once every day.
When we'd respond to the alarms, she wouldn't open the door for the officer, for a male officer.
Miss Branson?
Who is it?
Officer Andrews from the police department. Please open up.
Well, I just can't do that.
She would answer through the door, and a lot of times we'd have to have the dispatch center call her back.
Could you please give her a call?
All right, hold on. I'll get the chief. We'll give Miss Branson a call.
And tell her to come to the front door. The officer needed to speak with her.
Investigators realize if Ann Branson is wary of answering the door for an officer,
I'm sorry about that.
she would never open the door for a stranger.
So the perpetrator either was let in by Miss Branson or utilized the key that she had hidden outside the residence to let themselves in.
And I knew it had to be somebody who knew her well to have entered her home and to have gone into the basement.
But the question is, who? Their first theory is that Ann had discovered someone burglarizing her home. Detectives bring in Ann Branson's cleaning lady to tell them if anything is out of place.
If you happen to see anything missing,
The house was not ransacked. The jewelry had not been stolen.
it could be very significant to us, so.
She had a lot of nice stuff in this house, china, silverware, money, rings, and none of that was taken.
Now, how about here on the desk with all the bills and so on? Is this kind of...
Everything looks as it should.
The burglary theory begins to seem unlikely. Out of the whole house, only one thing is missing, but that item is something very strange.
When we went to the kitchen trash, we noticed that the bag was gone. We discussed it with the housekeeper, and she told us that it would not be Miss Branson's nature to take out the trash.
Is the missing trash bag coincidence or a clue?
The crime scene told us a lot about who she would have had in that home, and it had to be somebody that she knew.
So do you know anyone at all who want to hurt Ann Branson in this way?
Detectives end up with the names of 3 people Ann would have allowed into the house. Police consider all 3 suspects. The first is someone who may not share Madisonville's love for the bigger-than-life Millionaires. Ann Branson's own sister, Grace.
Grace was just 62, and she was dying of cancer, and she was very angry about that.
And Anna Mae told me that as close as they were, Grace had told her that Grace wished that Anna Mae was the one dying and not Grace.
But when detectives talk to Grace, they realize that she is too ill to pull off such a brutal attack.
They did not consider Grace to be physically capable of doing that, being in the late stages of cancer.
Grace is ruled out. Just 4 months after Ann is murdered, Grace does indeed die of cancer. Detectives move on to the second suspect on their list, Ann's handyman, Riley.
He was one of the people that my aunt would have let in with no problem.
And he had a possible motive for the murder. The housekeeper tells detectives that Riley owed Ann Branson money.
Any particular amount? Did she ever give just a lot of money?
She just said it was a lot of money.
She also says Riley had plenty of opportunity.
According to the cleaning lady, he had been spending an inordinate amount of time over at Ann's house and was there the weekend that she was murdered. He was there at the house.
Investigators become even more suspicious when a background check reveals Riley has a criminal record, a record that includes assault charges.
So we thought maybe the possibility that he wasn't paying back a loan or something like that. You know, he was going over there a lot leading up to the crime.
Could Riley have killed Ann Branson?
I wonder if you could describe to me your relationship with her.
Well, I know her for many years.
When I told him about Miss Ann's murder, he was extremely upset.
Oh, my.
He couldn't talk. He tried asking questions, and he was just in disbelief.
Can't imagine anybody would do that. She was a sweet old lady.
The handyman's emotional reaction doesn't rule him out, but investigators suspect his physical condition does.
Just upon my initial observations of him, he seemed quite frail.
They soon learn Riley has a serious heart condition. For him, stabbing someone 97 times would be impossible.
There's no way that he could physically have done the amount of damage that Anna Mae sustained during this homicide.
If he had done this, we would have found his cold dead body there, too.
Investigators rule out the handyman, but there is still a third name on the detective's list of suspects.
Ann had voiced some concerns that she was scared of him. Well, that's going to be somebody that we're going to look at.
The brutal murder of Ann Branson, the most flamboyant and one of the wealthiest women in Madisonville, Kentucky, has left the town reeling and demanding justice.
I made the statement that when we find the scumbag that did this to Anna Mae, I want to see this person executed, and it'll be the first execution that I ever plan to attend. I want to watch the light go out in his eyes.
Even detectives find the crime horrific.
It was beyond anything that I could think could humanly possibly happen to a person.
Investigators are convinced that whoever did this knew Ann. At her funeral, her family and friends can't help eyeing every mourner as a potential suspect.
As everyone walked into the funeral home, I thought this could be the killer.
But the list of possible suspects is shrinking fast. Investigators have already cleared two: Ann's terminally ill sister, Grace, and Ann's handyman, Riley. But they still have one name on their list of suspects: Joseph K. He is one of Ann's tenants, an odd man with a history of causing her trouble.
The tenant was of concern. This is a man who had been acting strangely and so forth.
He would call her at all hours of the night and say there were ghosts in his attic and to come and chase out the ghost.
Well, you'll never guess who called me again last night.
Not the crazy one.
Oh, yes.
The cleaning lady had felt that the guy was mentally unstable and that Ann had voiced some concerns to her that she was scared of him.
But really be careful if you go over there. I really think he's unstable.
And they have had good reason to be scared. Investigators discover that, like the handyman, Joseph K. has a criminal record. Maybe this time the crazy tenant went past assault, straight to murder.
He was high on my list of suspects. I thought maybe she had tried to evict him that day, and he came over to talk to her about it and, enraged, just, killed her.
So when was the last time you saw Ann Branson?
Joseph K. admits being at Ann's house recently.
He had been to the house on that Friday before she was murdered and had paid his rent.
I went over there to pay
But he swears he was not there when Ann was killed. Then, out of the blue, a call comes into a tip line. A woman says she saw someone leaving Ann's house the night of the murder.
He was a white male. My headlights were shining right on him.
She realized she may have seen the killer and called Crime Stoppers, which is an anonymous tip line.
This could be the break detectives have been hoping for. The caller's description sounds like it could be a description of Joseph K.
I swear this place is haunted.
Can you recall where you were on Sunday?
He was at work during the time that the crime occurred. And he was in Tennessee going to get his son beforehand.
I didn't have anything to do with this murder.
A check with his employer confirms his alibi. Detectives are out of suspects.
Does that make sense to you?
Then, suddenly, they get another tip. This time, the tipster claims he knows who killed Ann Branson.
I think it was a friend of mine that killed her.
This friend confided in us that he was scared for his life and that he could no longer keep the information that he had to himself.
The caller is a local man named Jeff Hibbs. He tells police his longtime friend and co-worker in the mines, Russell Winstead, might have something to do with the murder. But even he's reluctant to believe it could be true.
He was easy to make friends with. He'd come up and he'd say, hey, let's do something, or he'd come over to the house.
Russell Winstead is one of the last people anyone would suspect is a brutal killer. He's well known by everyone in Madisonville. In fact, Russell Winstead is a member of the Branson family. He's Ann's nephew.
Anna Mae loved Russell.
He was so grief-stricken that my heart broke for him.
If you had met him on the street, he was a normal person. He held out a job, he had a wife and a family, came from a good family.
He even has friends on the small-town police force.
A hardworking man, a father, a trusted friend by many of the gentlemen that I work with on a daily basis.
He would not have been one of the usual suspects.
You can fax it over.
Is it possible Winstead has a dark side? Detectives dig deeper into Jeff Hibbs' suspicions.
Now, Mr. Hibbs, you told me on the phone that you and Russell work together. Is that correct?
Yes.
3 nights before Ann is killed, Jeff and Russell head to a casino. Russell Winstead carries thousands in cash.
It's gonna be a big night. Gonna win a lot. I got $12,000 I gotta pay my aunt.
And this is the part that really spooked me and that still haunts me in what he said. He said, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go over and hit it quick, get my money, and I'm gonna get back. I went to the table and watched what he did. He played blackjack.
Winstead loses every cent. Leaving the casino, he flies into a rage.
Damn it, I don't I'm gonna do.
I never heard him curse a lot. He said, damn, said I'm.
4 days later, Jeff learns about Ann Branson's murder.
And then he put together that Miss Branson was the aunt that Russell had told him that he had borrowed money from and that he had to pay back.
I got $12,000 I gotta pay my aunt.
Jeff Hibbs realizes the money Russell lost at the table was the same money he borrowed from his aunt.
The next day, Russell approached him, said, hey, did by any chance did I tell you where I got that money that I borrowed that we took gambling?
At the time, Jeff believed that Russell Winstead was making a veiled threat.
Jeff told us that when he realized that Russell's aunt had been brutally murdered, the hair on the back of his neck stood up, and that he slept with a shotgun because he was afraid.
Jeff's story sets the investigation on fire.
It gave us a new direction to look in. It fit the crime. So we're looking at opportunity. He had the opportunity. He had the means. Now we gotta look at it as a motive. What's the motive behind this?
And no one is prepared for what detectives find next.
All coming together now.
The small mining town of Madisonville, Kentucky, has been rocked by the murder of one of its leading citizens. One of the town's wealthiest women, Ann Branson, was found stabbed and bludgeoned to death in her own home.
It's probably one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life. And to understand, I've done this job for 24 years. I was in the Army for 22 years. I have seen more than my share of death. This was horrible.
Now the close-knit community is again turned upside down when investigators focus on a very unusual suspect, the victim's handsome and charming nephew, Russell Winstead.
Russell Winstead would not have been on the radar screen.
But that's exactly where he is. A tip from friend Jeff Hibbs has put Russell Winstead in the hot seat.
He lost all the money that he had, and he got very angry about that.
Damn it!
Hibbs tells police Russell Winstead has a secret. He's seen Winstead lose thousands of dollars gambling.
I'm just beside myself, because if I'd have lost that kind of money, I'm supposing 20,000 or better, I couldn't have took it. I just wouldn't know what to do.
What have you got?
According to Hibbs, Winstead is two very different people. In Madisonville, he's the hard-working miner, an easygoing family man. In area casinos, he's an addicted gambler, heavily in debt and desperate to get out.
So you have a person with dual personalities. He's got this reputation everyone knows him by here in Madisonville, and he's got this reputation everyone knows him by at the casinos.
To confirm Jeff's story, investigators put every available detective on the job.
They were going to casinos all up and down the Ohio and Mississippi River. They were looking at bank records. We were obtaining phone records. We were doing basically grunt work, and it took a long time to do it.
But the drudgery pays off.
We were able to obtain through the Kentucky State Police Russell's entire gambling history, which covered about a 2.5 year period of time.
Records show a lot of losses. Russell Winstead has a gambling habit that far outstrips his means.
This was total news to those who knew Russell the best. We did not have any idea that Russell had a gambling problem.
Being a compulsive gambler doesn't make Winstead a killer, but it does make detectives take a closer look.
At a residence also known as the Branson residence.
Detectives return to the scene of the crime. They search for clues that could connect Russell Winstead, the gambler, to the murder of his aunt, the Millionaires.
We went back to the home with the rest of the investigation team. I was assigned to Miss Branson's den, which is the room right off of the garage.
There, Detective Kelly Rager finds Ann's address book.
I was starting to go through there page by page, thinking, well, I might need to call these people to see if they'd spoken to Miss Branson.
But Rager soon realizes this little red book isn't just an address book. It's a major lead.
Looking through this red telephone address book, started noticing names, and it would have amounts.
At the top of the list, in Ann's own handwriting, is the name, Russell Winstead.
She kept track of all of her transactions. Even though this was family, it was a business transaction for her.
I think I have something here.
The little red book details every dime Ann loaned to Russell Winstead, an astonishing grand total of $65,000.
As we started looking in the right places now that we had a direction to go in, we found that this was an extensive, long-term debt that was accruing, and that Miss Branson was getting her fill of it, so to speak. She was tired of it. She was demanding the payment on that loan.
Monday.
Monday
morning,
Monday
after
morning.
the banks are open. You
Swear,
pay
I
me.
won't borrow any more.
The last entry in the address book is the most peculiar.
It said he wrote me a check for $12,000. I gave him $9,700.
The address book tells investigators Russell Winstead borrowed $9,700 from Ann 2 days before her murder. But for some inexplicable reason, on that same day, he also writes a check to Ann for $12,000 to be deposited on Monday.
I got $12,000 I gotta pay my aunt. Let's go, man. Let's get out of here.
At the casino the very next day, Winstead is desperate to make a big score.
I got $12,000 I gotta pay my aunt.
Is it possible Winstead is gambling that night because he doesn't have enough in the bank to cover the check he gave her? For investigators, it's a big red flag. If Russell Winstead gave his aunt a $12,000 check, where is it? According to the bank, the check was never cashed, so it should still be somewhere in Ann's house.
I was present when the police searched the house. They turned the house upside down.
We didn't find a check from Russell Winstead to Anna Mae Branson, an amount of $12,000. We found carbon copies of the older loans. We couldn't find a check.
The check was not found in the home. It never surfaced in her bank account. It never was deposited by her. It never was cashed by her. And nobody took anything else of value that we could find in the home.
Did Russell Winstead take back his check? If so, did he have to kill his aunt to do it?
It was time for us to talk to Russell Winstead.
The victim is noticeable at the bottom of the stairs.
The investigation into the murder of millionaire Ann Branson is less than 2 weeks old, but detectives in Madisonville, Kentucky are swiftly focusing on a very unusual suspect, Ann's nephew, Russell Winstead. The man everyone in town knows as a likable, hardworking family man has a hidden life as a compulsive gambler, a life he's financed by borrowing thousands of dollars from his aunt.
He would tell her extravagant lies on what he was doing with his money, purchasing coal equipment and different things of that sort. And then he would go that night to the gambling boat. He had girlfriends that were waitresses there, and everybody thought that he was a very important and very wealthy person with the money that he put down on the table.
He's a gambler, a liar, and a cheater. Is he also a heartless killer?
So, Russell, how y'all doing?
Everything okay, Ross?
Detectives decide to put some pressure on Winstead, bringing him into the police station for formal questioning.
During the questioning of Russell Winstead, he immediately displayed a high level of nervousness.
That check was never cashed.
This was a guy who was not comfortable sitting in front of us, and we hadn't even started the questions yet.
What were you doing Sunday night?
Detectives grill Winstead about his whereabouts the weekend of the murder, then drop their bombshell. They've discovered his debt to Ann.
We know that you owe your aunt $65,000.
They also tell Winstead they know he was at Ann's house 2 days before the murder.
Well, there's still a check that's missing, isn't there?
That's right.
And gave his aunt a check for $12,000.
Check's missing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Investigators are beginning to suspect the check and Russell are connected to Ann Branson's death. But Russell has an alibi for the night of the murder. He was with his wife, Terry.
I was home with my wife, like every weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Terry confirms it. Her husband was never at his aunt's house that Sunday.
He was with me all day and all night.
But their stories quickly begin to sound suspiciously similar to investigators.
Her timeline was exactly the same as Russell's by the minute.
What'd you have for dinner?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken, mashed potatoes.
We had mashed potatoes.
She's a great cook.
It's a perfect alibi. Too perfect.
When you have two different people and they give almost verbatim answers, and they give it with too much detail.
That's exactly what happened.
They practiced that.
Their stories match, right down to the last detail.
Terry looked at her watch. It was like 10:12 or something.
I looked at my watch. It was 10:12.
10-12.
Yeah.
It's obvious they've synced their stories.
10:12.
But if they're not involved in the murder, why bother? What do they have to hide?
We had not released when she was killed. And yet here is a man concocting an alibi with other people for that exact time.
Detectives aren't buying the alibi, but Terry is sticking to her story.
No, he stayed by me all night.
Detectives have to find a way to drive a wedge between Russell Winstead and his wife.
Nobody's saying you've done nothing wrong. I just think you're a little in over your head.
One of Russell's friends on the Madisonville police force confronts Terry, explaining that if she is hiding evidence of murder, she too could be charged.
I pretty much laid everything out to her, and I told her I knew she was lying.
So tell me the truth.
It'd be in her best interest if she told the truth, you know, because this was way over her head. And that's when she broke down and started crying. She started telling us, you know, the whole story.
We rehearsed their story. He wasn't at home.
They'd all gotten together at Russell's house and rehearsed this alibi.
Russell Winstead's wife begins secretly cooperating with police. The investigation is suddenly back on track. Detectives immediately get a search warrant for his house. But before the search, his wife remembers something that reveals a vital clue.
Guess what I got for you?
What's that?
Well, it's a surprise.
His wife, Terry, had bought him a new duck hunting coat, which was camouflage. They're really expensive, $300 or $400 jacket.
Oh, you look so good.
And she described it ever since Anna Mae Branson's murder, that jacket's been missing. And that he had it on that night when he went to church, the night that Anna Mae Branson was murdered. Russell had that jacket on. And ever since then, it's been missing.
Did Russell Winstead kill his aunt wearing that jacket? If so, investigators are certain it would be covered in her blood.
So we looked, conducted a search, couldn't find a jacket.
No evidence visible at this time in there.
No jacket, no murder weapon, no $12,000 check. Another dead end. Investigators next examine Winstead's truck, swabbing key areas for evidence of trace blood. They're especially interested in the driver's side door grip and gas pedal. But test results soon come back negative. No blood anywhere. There's a lack of hard evidence in the case, but detectives still believe they have their killer.
We had the motive. He had a high gambling debt to Anna Mae Branson. She was wanting her money back. He had lied to us about his alibi, and now his gambling debt and his alternative personality is going to be exposed.
Then, before detectives can find the vital clues they need, time suddenly runs out. Russell Winstead abruptly disappears. Investigators trying to solve the murder of millionaire Ann Branson in Madisonville, Kentucky, are stumped at every turn.
Appears to be some sort of ledger in an address book.
Each time they find a clue, the critical evidence they need to prove it eludes them. Now, even their prime suspect is gone, Ann's nephew, Russell Winstead. Before they can arrest him, he suddenly vanishes.
That by itself probably would eliminate any doubt. Innocent men don't run.
Winstead's sudden disappearance leaves them no other choice but to believe he is, indeed, Ann Branson's killer.
He is not someone you would think would do this.
He was just a normal citizen of our community.
Shocked, couldn't believe it. You know, just a lot of emotions. I mean, it was a tough time for me.
Now the hunt is on. Investigators put the word out worldwide. One thing detectives know for sure, Russell Winstead is a compulsive gambler. He'll be somewhere near a casino.
We started to piece together a timeline. We were able to glean that he obtained a passport in Chicago.
But we did not know for sure where he was.
1 month after Russell Winstead disappears, detectives get the break they need. His father, Earl, is caught wiring his son money.
They had an elaborate network set up where he was sending it through false names and false mailboxes.
Investigators follow the money. The trail leads out of the country to Costa Rica. Why Costa Rica?
Costa Rica does not have an extradition treaty and also has gambling casinos, and we knew we'd be near where a gambling casino was.
This made me extremely angry. Russell was a fugitive in Costa Rica, did not have a job, conned several different ladies into letting him live in their apartments, gambled every day with money that was sent to him by his father. Gambling eventually was his downfall. He was arrested coming out of the casino in San Jose, Costa Rica.
Prosecutors make a deal and promise to keep the death penalty off the table if Costa Rica agrees to extradite Russell Winstead. More than 3 years after the murder of Ann Branson, authorities welcome him back to Kentucky in shackles. But before Winstead goes on trial, the case takes another shocking turn. In a letter to prosecutors, a man named Fred Roulette confesses to the murder. He claims he killed Ann Branson.
I'm writing today to admit my guilt of killing Ann Branson in 2003. I'm sorry that I hadn't told the truth a long time ago about Mrs. Branson. But like I said...
Fred Roulette is already in jail for another murder, a murder eerily similar to the killing of Ann Branson.
There were similarities between the two. The victims were both elderly women. They were both killed with multiple knife wounds.
But investigators are instantly suspicious, and they have good reason. Roulette shares a cell with prime suspect Russell Winstead. Nevertheless, they check out Roulette's story.
When you get a guy's confession in, you got to consider a serious suspect.
Roulette provides drawings of the crime scene, the location of the body, and most significant, the kind of weapon used in the murder. He says he killed Ann Branson with a miner's tool called a Bradis hammer. Only the killer would know that such a rare weapon was used.
Did you sign that letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that Fred Roulette is the real killer? Detectives trace Roulette's movements at the time Ann Branson was murdered. Very quickly, his story unravels.
Fred Roulette didn't know it, but Fred Roulette had an alibi. He was somewhere else at the time the crime was committed.
We were able to determine at the time Miss Branson was killed, Fred Roulette was in Indiana at the time. He couldn't have done the killing.
Detectives have no doubt Russell Winstead is behind Roulette's sudden and amazingly detailed confession.
Why are you sitting here trying to take the rap for someone else?
After we brought Fred Roulette in and questioned him, he admitted and confessed that he'd been put up to this.
Russell and I were talking one night, and we just came up with a plan.
Certain monies had been promised to him, to his family, by Russell and Russell's dad, Earl, if he would take the rap for this.
Sounded good at the time.
Sounded good at the time.
Since he was going to prison anyway, no big deal. So they worked out this deal. At some point, the light bulb came on and Fred Roulette realized, wait a minute, I can get death for this.
When Fred Roulette found out that he would be facing the death penalty, he talked to an attorney and said, Russell Winstead coerced me into writing this confession.
Roulette not only recants his absurd story, he agrees to testify against Russell Winstead.
Fred Roulette's testimony added to the pile of evidence against Russell. It was another time that Russell Winstead convicted himself.
August 15th, 2007.
Every murder case you've ever seen on television or in a movie is always a whodunit. That is really the most important issue that we will be dealing with, is whodunit.
When the case finally goes to trial, the prosecution lays out the hows and whys of the brutal murder. It begins with Russell Winstead's secret life as a compulsive gambler.
He loves it, he eats on it, thrives on it. And he does all right for a while in the gambling business, but when he starts losing, he loses big.
Over time, his aunt, Ann Branson, loans Russell Winstead more than $65,000. He loses it all. Desperate, he goes back to his aunt for more. 2 days before the murder, Winstead convinces Ann Branson to give him an additional $9,700 and tells her he'll return it the coming Monday.
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 You promise, Monday.
I promise.
Monday morning, right after
Swear.
the bank's open.
She was a very astute business lady. She did recollect if she loaned you money, but everyone in the family knew that if they needed assistance, Santa Mae was there.
In fact, he leaves her a check for $12,000. Finally, the mysterious check is explained.
Here's $12,000. That's a start.
Well, thank you, Russell. I appreciate that. You're paying on your debts.
Absolutely. Thank you.
With the $9,700 his aunt gave him in his pocket, he goes back to the casino and once again gambles it all away.
He said, I'm screwed. He said, I'm screwed. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do.
If Ann deposits the $12,000 check on Monday, it will bounce. When it does, Winstead's gambling secret will be revealed. He even mentions the $12,000 to Jeff Hibbs that night at the casino.
I got $12,000 I got to pay my aunt.
His wife's gonna know. His family's gonna know. He had to stop that. And he thought by killing Anna Mae Branson, it would work.
On Sunday, January 12, 2003, Winstead goes over to Ann Branson's house. He uses the key she keeps hidden outside to let himself in.
I got some bad news for you.
In the basement, he confronts his aunt.
I lost your money. I went to the casino.
Oh,
I thought I was
Russell,
going to win. Get it back. I was going to win. I know. I pay my bills. I put me a break. I got enough pressure in my life. You're my family. I know. I know.
In a violent rage, he beats and stabs her to death. After killing Ann, the prosecution believes Winstead finds the $12,000 check.
I assume that Russell found it since we didn't find it. Miss Ann did not have an opportunity to take it to the bank. We checked the bank. It was never deposited. He could not account for it. It was never found.
Russell Winstead then goes into the kitchen, puts the murder weapon in the trash, and takes the trash bag with him.
He says that he used a brass hammer, which he modified, which he shortened and sharpened the edge on and turned a little bit where it could also be used as a flathead screwdriver.
When Winstead steps out of the house, he locks the door, leaving the key behind in the wrong hiding place. Then, as he runs away from Ann's property, the anonymous female tipster spots him. She later describes the jacket he's wearing for police. It's a perfect match with Russell's missing hunting coat.
She said, oh, he was wearing one of those coats that's multicolored and it's got patches and kind of weird designs on it. So you're talking about a camouflage coat? Yeah, that's it. He was wearing a camouflage coat.
Winstead dumps the trash bag with the murder weapon and the missing camouflage jacket somewhere safe, maybe deep in the mine where he works.
We assumed that the jacket got put in his trash bag with the murder weapon, and wherever those items got disposed of, they're together somewhere.
If not for Ann Branson's little red address book, Russell Winstead might have gotten away with murder. It's as though she's speaking from the grave, pointing the way to her killer.
See my pretty bright colors?
She solved her own crime by what she wrote in her red address book. That was the single most important piece of evidence that we had.
August 30th, 2007. After 2 weeks of testimony and 12 hours of deliberation, the jury has a verdict.
The defendant and his attorneys, please stand. We, the jury, find Russell Winstead guilty of murder under instruction number 6.
And when they said guilty, I gasped out loud.
And is this the verdict of each of you?
Russell Winstead is found guilty of murder.
I can't think of any other way to describe him other than a cold-hearted murderer.
To do this crime for money so his secret life would not be revealed, it's a horrible thing.
Russell Winstead is a cold-blooded murderer, and he is a liar.
News has gotten a hold of video showing the moment deputies discovered the body of Shakira Rucker inside of a storage unit. Rucker was a mother of 4, and her estranged husband is charged with her murder. I noticed something dripping toward my unit. The man's voice shakes as he talks to the 911 operator. It's November 18th, 2023, and he's standing outside a storage facility in Apopka, Florida, staring at something that doesn't make sense. Dark liquid seeping under a metal door. The smell hits him like a punch to the gut. At first I thought maybe someone put a fridge in there with old meat and it just dripped out. But deep down he knows this isn't spoiled food. The storage unit belongs to someone else. Someone he's never met. The liquid keeps spreading day after day and the smell gets worse. Sweet, rotten, wrong. He's tried ignoring it, tried telling himself it's nothing. But when you see blood pooling near your feet, you can't pretend anymore. There's something seriously wrong here. Orange County deputies race to the scene, body cameras rolling. The smell hits them before they even reach the unit. One deputy covers his nose, another takes a step back. They cut the lock. The metal door rolls up with a screech. What they find inside changes everything. But this story doesn't start with the storage unit. It doesn't start with blood or 911 calls or deputies covering their faces. The story starts 7 days earlier with a woman named Shakira Rucker, 37 years old, mother of 4 beautiful kids, living in Winter Springs, Florida, trying to rebuild her life after her marriage fell apart. November 11th. A Saturday night. Shakira leaves her house at 7:30 p.m. Her family thinks she's just going out for a bit, maybe grabbing dinner, maybe meeting a friend. She never comes home. Her phone goes straight to voicemail. Her car is nowhere to be found. Her kids keep asking where mommy is, and nobody has answers. A location, a pin drop, something, because right now we don't know anything. It's o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, saying I'm on my way. She never came. Could have been from him, could have been from her. We would never know. If you really loved and cared about her, tell us something. Don't let it end like this. And it won't end like this when we're going to make sure it doesn't end like this. The family calls police. They file a missing person report. They post on social media. They beg for help finding her. But while they're searching, while they're praying, while they're hoping, She's just lost or confused, or maybe staying with a friend she forgot to mention. Something terrible is already done. Drop a comment if you think you could handle finding something like this, because what we discovered about Shakira's last night alive will make your blood run cold. The truth about what happened to this mother of 4 is darker than anyone imagined. Welcome to our channel. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button and please like and share this video to those who needs to hear it. November 11th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. Shakira Rucker walks out of her Winter Springs home for the last time. Her 4 kids, ages 7 through 18, think she'll be back later that night, maybe with takeout, maybe with a smile, and stories about her evening. They have no idea they'll never see their mother again. But here's the thing that makes this case absolutely wild. Shakira didn't leave alone. And she didn't leave with a stranger. He left with her estranged husband, Corey Hill. Now, when I say estranged, I mean their marriage was over, done. They were living separate lives, going through the messy process of untangling years together. But on this particular Saturday night, somehow, Corey convinced Shakira to go out with him. Where were they going? Nobody knew. Shakira's family said she left for an unknown destination. No plans mentioned, no timeline given, just gone. Hours pass. Then, a whole day. Shakira's phone goes straight to voicemail. Her social media goes silent. Her kids start asking questions that nobody can answer. By Monday, her family is panicking. They call Winter Springs police. Missing person report filed. Search teams and family members spent the week tracing clues across 4 counties, hoping it would lead them to Shakira Rucker. The search begins, but then something interesting happens. Security footage surfaces from that Saturday night, and what it shows will make your skin crawl. The Hungry Crab restaurant in Davenport, about an hour's drive from Shakira's house. There they are, Shakira and Corey, sitting across from each other, sharing what would be her final meal. The timestamp reads 9:47 p.m. 2 hours after she left home. Look at this footage closely. Shakira seems normal, talking, eating, no signs of distress. No indication that anything's wrong. Just a woman having dinner with her estranged husband. But appearances can be deadly, because while this footage shows them together, it doesn't show them leaving together. It doesn't show what happened after the check was paid. It doesn't show the conversation that took place in the parking lot, and it definitely doesn't show what Corey Hill did next. Police try to interview Hill, standard procedure when you're the last person to see a missing woman. But Corey? He lawyers up immediately, won't say a word, won't explain where they went after dinner, won't even confirm that the footage is real. His silence speaks volumes. Days drag by. Shakira's mother Elaine is falling apart. During a TV interview with Fox 35, she literally faints from the stress. Paramedics have to treat her on camera. The woman is dying inside, not knowing where her daughter is. "She's all I know," Elaine whispers when she comes to. "If you're hearing this, please let us know. Let someone know where she is. It's been 5 days now. Her children miss her. We miss her. We love her." Elaine, what has your experience with him been like previously? Is this... Overcome with emotion, Elaine Rucker fainting mid. The family organizes search parties. They plaster missing person flyers all over Central Florida. They beg the public for help. Social media explodes with shares and prayers and desperate pleas for information. But Corey Hill? Still not talking. Police name him a person of interest. The only person of interest. Because when your estranged wife disappears, after having dinner with you, and you refuse to explain what happened next, you become suspect number 1 real fast. But Corey had a secret that would make this case even more twisted than anyone imagined. A secret so explosive, it was about to destroy multiple lives. While Shakira's family was posting missing person flyers, Corey Hill was juggling a lie so massive, It would make your head spin. This man wasn't just married to Shakira. He had a whole other woman, a whole other relationship, a whole other life that neither woman knew about. Meet the girlfriend. We're not naming her because she's a victim too, but let's call her Lisa. Lisa thought she was Corey's one and only. She thought they had something real, something exclusive, something with building a future on. She was dead wrong. Here's how twisted this gets. Both women were living in the same area. Both women thought they were in committed relationships with the same man. And Corey was playing them both like a master manipulator. But lies this big? They don't stay buried forever. Somehow, and court documents don't spell out exactly how, Shakira and Lisa discovered each other. Can you even imagine that conversation? Two women realizing they've been sharing the same man without knowing it. The betrayal must have been crushing. But what happened next? That's where this story takes a turn into pure nightmare territory. Both women confronted Corey. Both women ended their relationships with him. Both women walked away from a man who had been lying to their faces for months, maybe years. And Corey Hill, he lost his mind. November 12, 2023. One day after Shakira disappeared, Lisa is at home with her family when bullets start flying through her windows. Corey Hill shows up at her house with a gun. He opens fire on Lisa, her family members, anyone who happens to be there. We're talking attempted murder of multiple people. In broad daylight, Lisa and her family dive for cover. Neighbors call 911. Police race to the scene. When the smoke clears, it's a miracle nobody's dead. Corey gets arrested on the spot. 4 counts of attempted murder. He's thrown in Orange County jail with no bond. But here's the part that'll blow your mind. While he's sitting in that jail cell, Shakira's family is still searching for her. They have no idea that the man who killed their daughter is already behind bars for trying to kill someone else. The timeline is absolutely insane. November 11th, Shakira disappears after dinner with Corey. November 12th, Corey tries to murder his girlfriend and her family. November 13th, Corey gets arrested and locked up, but Shakira? Still missing. Still nowhere to be found. Police start connecting the dots. They realize the man they've been trying to interview about a missing woman is the same man who just shot up a house full of people, the same man who was living a double life, the same man who lost everything when his lies got exposed. Court documents reveal the motive was crystal clear. Corey couldn't handle being confronted by both women. He couldn't handle losing control. He couldn't handle the fact that his carefully constructed web of lies had collapsed. Though he decided to eliminate the problem permanently, Lisa survived because she got lucky, because neighbors heard gunshots and called for help, because police responded fast enough to stop him. Shakira wasn't so lucky. Have you ever discovered someone was living a complete lie? Tell us your story in the comments, because what we're about to reveal will show you just how dangerous these situations can become. While Corey Hill was sitting in jail, refusing to talk about Shakira's disappearance, her body was decomposing in a storage unit registered under his name. The smell was getting stronger, the blood was seeping into neighboring units, and a horrified renter was about to make the discovery that would crack this case wide open. Corey Hill was already in jail when Shakira's body was found. He'd been locked up for days, which means he killed her before he tried to kill Lisa and her family. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was cold, calculated murder followed by an attempt to tie up loose ends. The monster had a plan, and it almost worked. November 18, 2023, 1 week exactly since Shakira vanished. The man renting the storage unit next to number 47 has been trying to ignore the smell for days, but today, when he walks up to his unit, he sees something that makes his blood run cold. Dark liquid seeping under the metal door of the unit next to his. Pooling on the concrete floor. His stomach drops. He knows what this is, but his brain doesn't want to accept it and notice something dripping toward my unit. He tells the operator, his voice shaky. The call comes in at 3:17 p.m. I thought maybe someone put a fridge in there with old meat, and it just dripped out, but deep down he knows this isn't spoiled food. The smell has been getting worse every day. Sweet, rotten, wrong in every possible way. Meanwhile, across town, Orange County deputies are wrapping up a massive search operation near Bob White Airfield in Mount Dora. Helicopters, K-9 units, volunteers. They've been combing through 30 miles of Central Florida wilderness, looking for any trace of Shakira. Nothing. Not a single clue. Then dispatch crackles to life. All units, we have a possible 1054 at the self-storage facility on Wiggins Road in Apopka. Caller reports blood seeping from a storage unit. Two patrol cars speed toward the facility. Body cameras activated. The timing is eerie. Less than 2 hours after they called off the wilderness search, they're racing toward what might be the answer to Shakira's disappearance. Deputies arrive at 2400 Wiggins Road. The facility manager meets them at the gate, looking pale. The witness, the neighboring unit renter, is still there, standing about 20 feet away from Unit 47. I've been smelling it for days, he tells Deputy Martinez. But today, when I saw the blood, Unit 47 is registered to Corey Hill, the same name that's been at the top of their person of interest list. The same man who's been refusing to talk to police about his missing wife. Deputy Martinez approaches the unit. The smell hits him before he gets within 10 feet. He's worked crime scenes before. He knows exactly what this is. The lock is still intact, no signs of forced entry. Whoever put something in this unit had legitimate access. We need bolt cutters, Martinez radios, and call the medical examiner. More deputies arrive. Crime scene tape goes up. The facility manager starts evacuating nearby units. What started as a welfare check is now a potential homicide scene. The bolt cutters snap through the lock with a sharp crack. Deputy Martinez grabs the handle of the metal door. His partner positions himself to the side, weapon ready. The door rolls up. Body camera footage captures the moment that changes everything. Inside the small 10 by 10 unit, behind boxes of holiday decorations and forgotten belongings, they find her, Shakira Rucker, 37 years old, mother of 4, shot multiple times. She's been there for days. The medical examiner will later confirm she died shortly after she disappeared, meaning while her family was desperately searching, while her kids were asking where mommy was, while her mother was fainting from stress during TV interviews, Shakira was already gone. The unit tells a story of cold calculation. Everything is organized, neat, like someone took their time arranging the scene. This wasn't a panicked body dump. This was methodical. Deputies start processing evidence. Every surface gets photographed. Every box gets cataloged. The unit becomes a road map to murder. 6:43 p.m., the call nobody wanted to make gets made. Shakira's family learns their worst fears have come true. The search is over. But the nightmare is just beginning. But here's what makes this discovery absolutely insane. The man who rented this unit, the man whose name is on the lease, the man who turned this storage space into a tomb, he's already sitting in Orange County Jail, not for Shakira's murder, for something completely different. Something that happened the day after she disappeared, November 13th, 2023. Orange County Jail. Corey Hill sits in his cell, booked on 4 counts of attempted murder. His mugshot shows a man who looks calm. Too calm. Like someone who's done this before, and that's because he has. While detectives are connecting Corey to Shakira's murder, they start digging into his past. What they find is a trail of violence that should have been a massive red flag. Domestic violence injunction, filed against Corey Hill months earlier. A legal document that was supposed to keep him away from someone he'd already hurt. A piece of paper that was supposed to protect a victim. But here's the sick truth about restraining orders. They're only as good as the person who's supposed to follow them. And Corey Hill? He didn't give a damn about court orders. He violated that injunction multiple times. The system knew he was dangerous, the courts knew he couldn't be trusted, law enforcement knew he was escalating, but somehow, he was still free to kill. The pattern becomes crystal clear when you look at the timeline. Corey wasn't just some guy who snapped one day. He was a predator who'd been building toward this moment for months. First, the domestic violence against his previous victim, then the injunction violation, then the manipulation of two women simultaneously, then the confrontation when his lies got exposed, then murder, then attempted murder of multiple people. This is what escalation looks like in real time, but here's what makes this case absolutely terrifying. Corey was smart about it. He didn't just lose control and start swinging, he planned. He calculated. He made moves like he was playing chess with people's lives. Think about it. He managed to keep two relationships going without either woman knowing about the other. That takes serious manipulation skills. That takes a level of deception that most people can't even comprehend. When Shakira and Lisa finally talked to each other, when they realized what he'd been doing, they both walked away. They both said, enough. They both tried to take back control of their lives. And that's when Corey decided they had to die, November 11th. Shakira confronts him, probably during or after that dinner at the Hungry Crab. She tells him it's over. She's done with his lies. She's moving on. He kills her, November 12th. Less than 24 hours later, he shows up at Lisa's house with a gun. If she won't come back to him, if she won't keep his secrets, then she needs to disappear too. But Lisa gets lucky. Her family's there, neighbors hear the gunshots. Police respond fast enough to save her life. Corey gets arrested before he can finish what he started. The man had a hit list, and he was working his way through it. Deputies find more evidence of his violent history, reports of controlling behavior, stories of threats and intimidation, a pattern of abuse that goes back years. The domestic violence injunction wasn't his first brush with the law. It was just the most recent. This guy had been terrorizing women for a long time, and the system kept giving him chances to do it again. If you know someone showing these red flags, controlling behavior, violating court orders, living double lives, what would you do? Let's discuss below, because what happened next proves that sometimes the system fails when people need it most. While Corey Hill was sitting in jail, playing innocent about attempted murder charges, Shakira's body was rotting in his storage unit. The smell was getting stronger, the blood was spreading, and time was running out before someone would make the discovery that would expose his crimes. But Corey thought he was untouchable. He thought his plan was perfect. He was about to learn how wrong he was. November 19, 2023, the day after the discovery, Corey Hill wakes up in his Orange County jail cell thinking he's just facing attempted murder charges. Maybe he'll get a plea deal. Maybe he'll serve some time and get out. Maybe his lawyer can work some magic. He has no idea that everything just changed. At 9:30 p.m., detectives walk into the interview room. They don't sit down, they don't offer coffee, they just slide a photograph across the metal table. It's his storage unit. Door rolled up, crime scene tape everywhere. We found her, Corey. The look on his face tells them everything they need to know. This isn't surprise. This isn't shock. This is a man whose backup plan just got blown to pieces. Within hours, the charges get upgraded, second-degree murder with a firearm. But prosecutors know this is just the beginning. State Attorney Andrew Bain reviews the evidence, the methodical planning, the storage unit rental, the way Shakira's body was positioned and concealed, the timeline showing Hill killed her, then immediately tried to eliminate his other victim. The cold, calculating methodology of the homicide Bain announces to the press, combined with prior violent offenses, leads us to seek the ultimate penalty. The death penalty. Corey Hill just went from facing a few years for attempted murder to potentially facing execution. The grand jury doesn't take long. They review the evidence, hear the testimony, see the body camera footage. The indictment comes back fast and brutal. First-degree murder, premeditated, planned, cold-blooded execution. But while lawyers are filing motions and prosecutors are building their case, 4 kids in Winter Springs are trying to understand why mommy isn't coming home. The ages 7 through 18. The youngest barely understands what death means. The oldest is about to graduate high school, without their mother there to watch. Shakira's sister Dedra speaks at the press conference announcing the death penalty decision. Her voice breaks as she talks about the family's pain. "We've been angry, we've been sad, very confused," she says, tears streaming down her face. "It's just an indescribable pain that we feel." The community rallies around the children. A GoFundMe page raises thousands for their care. Vigils are held. Shakira's memory becomes a symbol of domestic violence awareness. But Corey Hill? He's not done fighting. His defense team files motion after motion. They want the storage unit search thrown out, claiming it was conducted without a proper warrant. They want the body camera footage suppressed. They want the charges reduced. Every motion gets denied. The evidence is overwhelming. The timeline is airtight. The motive is crystal clear. Hill sits in his cell. No bond, no visitors, no hope. The man who thought he could manipulate and control everyone around him is now completely powerless. His trial date gets set. The prosecution starts preparing their case for the death penalty. Witnesses line up to testify about his pattern of violence, his manipulation, his complete lack of remorse. Shakira's family prepares for the long road ahead. Years of court hearings, years of reliving the worst moment of their lives, years of fighting for justice, but they're ready. Because Shakira deserves justice, her children deserve answers, and other women deserve protection from monsters like Corey Hill. The wheels of justice are turning, slowly, but they're turning. And Corey Hill is about to learn that some crimes are so brutal, so calculated, so evil, that society demands the ultimate price. Here's what nobody talks about in cases like this. The red flags were there all along, flashing like neon signs, but somehow, everyone missed them. Or maybe they didn't miss them, maybe they just didn't know what they were looking at. Let's break down Corey Hill's playbook, because this monster didn't just wake up one day and decide to become a killer. He built up to it, step by step, victim by victim. The double life strategy. Most abusers stick to one victim at a time. Not Corey. This guy was running 2 complete relationships simultaneously. Different women, same lies, same manipulation tactics. Why is this so dangerous? Because it shows incredible planning ability. It shows he can compartmentalize. It shows he can look someone in the eye and lie without flinching. When someone can maintain that level of deception for months or years, they're capable of anything. The control escalation. Domestic violence doesn't start with murder, it starts with small things. Checking your phone, questioning where you've been, isolating you from friends and family. Corey had already crossed into legal territory with his previous victim. A domestic violence injunction means a judge looked at evidence and said, this man is dangerous enough that he needs to be legally kept away from this woman. But injunctions are just paper, and paper doesn't stop bullets. The violation pattern. Here's the scariest part. Corey violated that domestic violence order multiple times. The system knew he was breaking the rules, the courts knew he couldn't be trusted, and he was still walking free. Every violation should have been a wake-up call. Every broken rule should have meant jail time. Instead, he got chance after chance to escalate his violence. The confrontation trigger. When both women discovered his double life and confronted him, Corey's mask came off completely. The careful manipulation stopped working. His control was slipping. For men like Corey, losing control is the ultimate threat. They'd rather destroy everything than admit they're not the puppet master anymore. The confrontation didn't cause his violence. It just revealed what was already there. The methodical planning. Look at how Corey handled Shakira's murder. He didn't kill her in a rage and panic about what to do next. He had a storage unit ready. He had a plan for disposal. He knew exactly how to hide the evidence. This level of preparation is what separates domestic violence murders from crimes of passion. Corey wasn't acting on impulse. He was executing a strategy. The backup plan. After killing Shakira, Corey immediately went after Lisa and her family. This wasn't random violence. This was cleanup. He was eliminating witnesses to his double life. If Lisa hadn't gotten lucky, if her family hadn't been there, if neighbors hadn't called 911 fast enough, we'd be talking about multiple murders instead of one. The system failures. Every step of the way there were opportunities to stop Corey Hill. The domestic violence injunction should have been enforced. The violation should have meant jail time. The pattern of escalating behavior should have triggered intervention. Instead, the system gave him enough rope to hang himself and take Shakira with him. But this means for you, if someone in your life is living a double life, violating court orders or showing extreme controlling behavior, don't wait for it to get worse. It will get worse. Document everything. Report violations immediately. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong, because the difference between Shakira and Lisa wasn't luck. It was timing, it was circumstances. It was the presence of witnesses and the speed of police response. If you've seen these warning signs in someone you know, drop your story below. Sometimes sharing experiences can save lives. But knowing the warning signs is only half the battle. The other half is understanding how monsters like Corey Hill think, how they operate, and why they believe they can get away with murder. So here we are. Corey Hill sits on death row, waiting for his date with justice. Shakira Rucker is gone forever. 4 kids grow up without their mother, and the system that was supposed to protect her failed spectacularly. But this story isn't really about Corey Hill. It's about the woman he couldn't break. Even when Shakira discovered his lies, even when she realized her marriage was built on deception, she didn't back down. She confronted him. She walked away. She chose her dignity over his manipulation. That choice cost her everything. Her sister Deidre said it best. Her children will never be able to see her again. It's hard. It's hard. Words that capture a lifetime of loss. But here's what Corey Hill didn't count on. Shakira's family wouldn't let her story die with her. They fought for answers. They demanded justice. They made sure the world knew what kind of monster he really was. The blood seeping from that storage unit didn't just expose a crime. It exposed a killer who thought he was untouchable. Final question for you. How many other Corey Hills are out there right now? How many other women are living with men who seem normal on the surface but are capable of unspeakable violence? Drop your thoughts below, and if this case hit you hard, smash that subscribe button, like and share this video to raise awareness.